Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
We just got done with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine trilogy, a trilogy that started off pretty rocky, but ended in a great place. And where are we at now? Well, we're talking about his return to the character that he made iconic in the movie world with 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep. A very highly anticipated movie.
Yeah, we just saw it, so let's talk about what we think of it. Let's just get this out of the way. Spoiler alert: there are some things that will be better left to find out rather than being told by some weirdo and his wife on the internet. So if you don't want any spoilers, go watch the movie.
Yeah, definitely watch the movie first.
So, Deadpool finds himself getting recruited by the TVA to join the main Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, the TVA is a group of interdimensional timeline cops, basically. They were first introduced in Loki, Season 1. And they basically preserve the sanctity of the timeline of the MCU, more or less.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused because I did not watch Loki, so I had no idea who these guys were.
That's okay. But Deadpool gets told that his world is going to be destroyed because his universe's anchor, the main X-Men series is Wolverine, dies, which is going to make the universe die in a couple thousand years. But this pretty radical guy wants to, well, his name's Paradox for one, and he wants to just speed up the process, get it done and over with, just cull the multiverse of any universes that are going to die anyway, so just speed it up.
Yeah, which, is kind of sad.
So, Deadpool decides he wants to find a new Wolverine to take the place of the one that dies in his universe.
Yeah. Which, there's a lot of different Wolverines out there.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. But first, what are your general thoughts on this movie?
In general, it is my least favorite Deadpool movie. I mean, it was still a fun time. It was just there were characters that I was a little unfamiliar with. But, I mean, that's okay. That's my own fault for not watching the X-Men movies. My main complaint with this movie was the lack of the, original Deadpool characters.
Yeah, I agree. For all of Wade's talk about how these people are his family and all that, we don't see a whole lot of them. We see, altogether, maybe 2 scenes with all of them and a few more with Vanessa, but there's not really a whole lot to them in this movie. Now, granted, we know how Wade feels about them, but from the context given by the last 2 movies. But what about this one? We don't get very much screen time with them.
Yeah, and that was kind of disappointing because I like those characters. I like their interactions with Deadpool. I just really thought they would have bigger parts in this movie, so that was a little disappointing.
Yeah, it was. Also, there's a stretch in between when Deadpool and Logan, when they escape from the main villain of the movie, Cassandra Nova, and by the time they get to where the Resistance are, where things just kind of slow down a whole lot. It seems like it just takes its time with this part, which on the one hand I'm kind of grateful for because it gives us quite a bit of time with Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, which, I mean, I feel like they have pretty fun chemistry together.
Yeah, I do agree that it is nice to see them working together because they are very entertaining on screen together. But yeah, it does kind of drag, and I wish they would have had more time with other characters.
Speaking of other characters, let's go through this cast list because it's quite something. Of course, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman return as Wade Wilson slash Deadpool and Logan slash Wolverine in the parts that they were born to play.
Yep.
The most we got of them together previously was their brief scenes in X-Men Origins Wolverine, where Reynolds played a pre-Deadpool Wade Wilson, and those were pretty fun scenes, and it's nice to get a whole movie of them together.
Oh, yeah. It is nice for a whole movie.
Hugh Jackman also plays quite a few variants of Wolverine, with the exception of one, but we'll get to that.
Yes. We'll get to it.
Some of these variants do include a shorter comic-accurate version, a version of him that's fighting the Hulk, a version of him who's getting crucified on a giant X, and another set in a sort of futuristic timeline, as well as a more truer to the text version of Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
Emma Corrin plays the main villain of this movie, Cassandra Nova. Now, Cassandra Nova in the comics is the twin sister of Charles Xavier, which she does point out in this movie.
Yeah, I didn't even know he had a sister.
Matthew McFadden plays the secondary antagonist, Mr. Paradox, a rogue TVA agent who's, again, trying to cull timelines that are about to die anyway, so why not just get it over with?
Yeah, kind of mean.
I'm not too familiar with his actor, but from what I've seen on Twitter, a lot of people were excited to see him in this movie. And from what I can tell, yeah, he was a lot of fun in it.
Yeah, he was pretty fun.
Daphne Keane reprises her role as Laura, or X-23. And it's implied that she's the version that we saw in Logan coming back to play in this movie.
Yeah, I guess that's what we can assume.
Marina Baccarin, once again, plays Vanessa for a very short time. Rob Delaney plays Peter, or Sugar Bear, as he was so affectionately called in Deadpool 2. He gets more of a presence than the other side characters, which I'm fine with that. I'm always okay with more Sugar Bear.
Yeah, I do like him. I think he's pretty funny.
In this movie, he and Wade are working together at this car dealership, and it turns out that every Deadpool in the multiverse has a Peter. So I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Leslie Uggams plays Blind Al, Deadpool's roommate who is blind. That's why he calls her Blind Al.
It makes sense.
And let's see. Brianna Hildebrand, Shayoli Kutsuna, Stefan Kapachik, and in addition to Randall Rader and Louis Tan, reprise their roles from the previous Deadpool movies as Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, Colossus, Buck, and Shatterstar, which is kind of weird that Wade decided to save Shatterstar of all people, because from what we saw in Deadpool 2, he thought Shatterstar was kind of a douche.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be a big fan of him.
Yeah, maybe he decided, maybe he's okay if I give him a chance.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe he turned out all right.
Also returning was Karen Sony as Dopinder. Always fun to see him. He's a very likable and warm individual. I love seeing him on screen.
Yeah, he's always a good time.
So, this was a very highly anticipated movie, I'd say, especially since it was featuring the return of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in a comic-accurate costume, no less.
Yeah, the costume was a big deal, I guess.
Yeah, because in the previous X-Men movies, Wolverine never wore it. The closest we got to him wearing any sort of comic-accurate costume was him in jeans and a wife beater.
That seems like classic Wolverine to me.
Yeah, he pulls it off pretty well, mind you, but it still would have been nice to see, the yellow spandex, which Cyclops makes fun of in the first X-Men movie. He says, "What would you prefer, yellow spandex?" "Yeah, I would. Thank you."
Nice.
But you got to understand the general. What's the word I'm looking for? The time frame that the original X-Men movie came out, and it was 2000. Blade had just came out, and really bright and colorful comic book accurate suits were not the norm. Okay, the only exception would have been Christopher Reeve's Superman back in the 70s, and I guess Helen Slater's Supergirl costume, but that's basically just Superman but a chick.
You're right.
Other than that, there was Batman, but that's not really a bright and colorful costume unless you're going by Joel Schumacher's versions.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it just wasn't a thing yet. I guess movie studios didn't trust general audiences to take these characters seriously if they're all decked out like they're going to Mardi Gras or something.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
But with the MCU being proving that comic book accurate costumes can be successful, as well as some other movies such as Deadpool, Shazam, and other movies from Warner Brothers and DC, we now get fully comic book accurate suits for the most part.
Yeah, that seems to be what's everyone's expecting from a movie now.
Yeah, the way I see it, if they're able to make if movie studios are able to make things like Aquaman or Shazam's costumes work, then they can make pretty much anything work.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Now, back to this movie. Here, we finally get to see Logan don his yellow comic book accurate suit, and honestly, this thing looks really great.
Oh yeah, it's pretty rad.
Earlier set photos showed that Hugh Jackman would be wearing sleeves with it, which that isn't completely comic accurate, but it serves a purpose because of Hugh Jackman's bouts with skin cancer.
Oh, interesting.
But we see later on he loses the sleeves, which could have been done with filming indoors with lighting to mimic the look of natural sunlight, or they could have just CGI'd the sleeves off of him.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
Either way, it's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me any.
Now, for the most part, Wade and Logan spend the movie in the void. It's where the TVA puts anyone who they prune from their universes.
Yeah, where they want to get rid of them.
Pretty much. This was also introduced in the first season of Deadpool. And this is where we see some pretty fun cameos from previous Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these actors had it had been a while since they reprised these roles, and we're going to go through them, like how long how long it took for them to come back.
Okay.
Some of the first cameos we see is Chris Evans, who Wade thinks is going to be Captain America, but it's actually his Johnny Storm, Human Torch, from the Fantastic Four duology he was in. This was him returning after 17 years.
Yeah.
Next, we meet some side mutants from the X-Men movies. Aaron Stanford returns as his Pyro from X2 and X-Men The Last Stand for the first time in 18 years after The Last Stand's release.
Oh, that's quite a while.
The same also applies to another of his Last Stand co-stars, Daniel Ramirez, returning as Callisto. Kelly Hu, as Lady Deathstrike, returns from X-Men 2 after 21 years of absence.
That's quite a long time.
Ray Park and Tyler Mane, on the other hand, may beat everyone's gaps with their return. They're returning as Toad and Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie, a 24-year gap.
That's almost as old as me.
Jason Fleming returns as Azazel 13 years after his appearance in X-Men First Class. Although he did have a small cameo in a picture in Days of Future Past, which would have only been a 10-year difference. But I'm guessing we're only counting actual appearances.
Yeah. Sorry, My daughter was getting choked. I couldn't. I did not hear a word you just said.
Okay. Jennifer Garner returns as Elektra 19 years after playing her in the 2005 spin-off from Daredevil.
Yeah. See, I'm kind of familiar. I knew she was Elektra.
Which, it was announced that she was going to return, so this wasn't a surprise. I guess it was only surprising that I forgot that they actually announced it.
Yeah, and I had no idea, so I was surprised.
Wesley Snipes also returns as Blade 20 years after Blade Trinity. Now, it's a funny story about that concerning him and Ryan Reynolds, actually.
What's so funny?
Well, Ryan Reynolds appeared in Blade Trinity as another Marvel character, and he and Wesley Snipes, they didn't get along too well on that movie. Yeah, good point.
Choking on her milk. Anyways, yes.
Yeah. Snipes would exclusively refer to Reynolds as that cracker.
That sounds kind of funny.
Yeah. But given that they were able to work together on this movie, I'm going to assume that maybe they patch things up. Maybe everything's okay between them. I'd like to think so, at least.
Yeah, you would think so, since they were, in this movie together.
There's 2 more cameos I'd like to talk about. Neither of them were, technically speaking, role reprisals, but the first time they actually get to play these characters. We get to see Channing Tatum appear as Gambit after he had previously been tapped to play him previously in his own solo movie. And what do we know? He actually has a Cajun accent in this movie.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice that he finally got to do this role that he, that got canceled, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, after Disney bought Fox, this Gambit movie got canceled.
Unfortunate.
And he gets to wear a comic accurate suit too. So, bravo to these guys. They're making our dreams come true.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the last cameo I'd like to talk about is a different variant of Wolverine. This one played by Henry Cavill.
Now that's quite surprising.
Yeah. Wade even makes a joke about how he's been kind of screwed over by Warner Brothers when it comes to his Superman role, which, yeah, he kind of was. And I feel like he's about to get a bit screwed over with this role, too. Because I was talking about it with Alex, and he thinks that it's just going to be like a one-off, like how they did with John Krasinski as Reed Richards and Doctor Strange, too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really expect anything to come from it, but I'm just sitting here.
I'm going to hold out hope, though, just in case maybe this does turn out to be the new MCU's version of Wolverine. I'd like that. That'd be really fun.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, so what was your favorite part of this?
I guess my favorite part was towards the end, the scene where Deadpool and Wolverine fight all the other Deadpools.
Yeah, that was pretty fun, which, that reminds me, there's a couple more cameos in this one. We get Ryan Reynolds as another variant of Deadpool. Yeah, duh. This one is unmasked, and he apparently doesn't have a healing factor at all. He's just a guy.
Yeah, so he's a little different. Kind of funny.
Also, there was another variant of Deadpool, Lady Deadpool, which was advertised, and people were thinking, oh, that's probably going to be Blake Lively as her, and lo and behold, it was Blake Lively.
It was Blake Lively, which is kind of funny.
There's also Kidpool and Baby Deadpool, which are played by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' kids.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
There's a cowboy version of Deadpool played by Matthew McConaughey.
Of course.
And a zombified head version of Deadpool. It's just a head called Headpool, played by Nathan Fillion.
Very funny. Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, there's some fun things to look at with the Deadpool variants, or Deadpool core as they're referred to, and there's not a lot to them, but it's just cool to look at.
It is cool to look at all the different Deadpools.
I really liked. This is gonna sound weird. This isn't my favorite part, but it's the part I want to talk about.
Sure.
During the credits, we get a montage of footage from previous Fox X-Men movies and like behind the scenes footage, and it seems like a tribute to some of the Marvel movies that kicked off what would become one of the biggest movie franchises of all time.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice little tribute. It seemed very heartfelt, and a tribute to all the passion that goes into movie.
Yeah, we got to see clips from the X-Men trilogies, the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies, the Fan Four Stick. Even that was a surprise. We get some stuff from Daredevil, from Elektra, from Blade, from all of these different Marvel movies that were made by Fox. So it's kind of like a love letter to them.
Yeah, I thought it was nice.
Maybe these movies weren't all the most well received, but there's fans for each and every one of them, except maybe Fan Four Stick. But
yeah, they all have their audience.
Now, would you like to know of some stuff that could have been?
Yeah, sure.
This is probably one of my favorite things to talk about, like just what could have gone differently.
And what was that?
Well, the movie was originally going to be a road trip buddy comedy that was going to center around Deadpool trying to save Christmas.
That would have been hilarious.
But after Disney acquired Fox, this was changed quite a bit, as you saw.
Yeah. See, that's what I was thinking. Like, didn't they have, some promo with,
Once Upon a Deadpool?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, where Deadpool PG-ifies the story of Deadpool 2 to an adult Fred Savage, a la The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah.
And I thought it was Christmassy, so I guess, was that before everything changed, or?
I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
Also planned was an X-Force movie to come out between Deadpool 2 and this one, but again, plans changed.
Mm-hmm. I can tell.
Kevin Feige was originally against bringing back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine because he was concerned that doing so would undermine Logan, a movie that Feige holds in very high esteem, as he should.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
He changed his mind, though, when it was confirmed that this would focus on a different variant of Wolverine, one that comes from a different universe, and also Jackman really wanted to return. His only condition was that Jackman had to wear the yellow and blue costume, which he was also fine with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Vinnie Jones was asked to reprise his role as Juggernaut from X-Men: The Last Stand, but he declined due to budgetary reasons and from the mental toll of Juggernaut's costume, which, yeah. But Juggernaut also appears as with a different actor playing the role. In addition, other Marvel characters like the Russian and the Daredevil version of Bullseye were recast with other actors. I'm just going to see these as other variants, not necessarily the same as the ones we saw previously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of variants, we were also told of different Marvel characters who died in between some time and when the events of this movie take place, like the Ben Affleck version of Daredevil, some version of Quicksilver, and a version of Punisher. We're not told which version of Punisher, but that does lead to a pretty funny joke when Deadpool asked which version it was and says that there was 5 versions, and Blade said, "There's only one Blade."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is funny given the fact that the MCU's version of Blade, starring Mahershala Ali, has hit a lot of setbacks in its road to getting anywhere off the screen. Although there was a TV show of Blade on the CW.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but because it was on the CW.
Oh, well, okay.
Wendy Molyneux and Lizzie Molyneux Loughlin from Bob's Burgers and the Great North were attached as writers at one point, but I guess they dropped out.
All right.
Josh Brolin wanted to come back in his role as Cable, but I guess they didn't have a place for him.
Oh, well.
Emma Corrin previously wanted to hire a personal trainer so that they can bulk up for the role, but Marvel told them that it wasn't necessary.
Who wanted to bulk up?
The Emma Corrin, they played Cassandra Nova.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Jordan Peele was approached by Ryan Reynolds to appear in the movie, but scheduling conflicts got in the way.
Unfortunate.
When it was revealed that the TVA would be involved, it was initially announced that Owen Wilson and Tara Strong would reprise their roles as Mobius and Miss Minutes from the Loki series, but as we saw, they didn't, which I would have liked to see Mobius in it. That would have been fun.
I do not know who that is.
Well, I just said he was played by Owen Wilson.
Yes, but I don't know who that character is.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Like I said, early reports indicate that Ben Affleck had signed on to appear as Daredevil, or maybe I didn't say that.
I don't remember.
Anyways, I'm saying it now. But I guess that fell through, which is, I mean, what's he gonna do in this world? He probably would have been killed a long time ago, honestly.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right. So, do you have anything more to say on Deadpool and Wolverine?
It was fine. There were some funny parts, and yeah, I mean, you know, it was fine. But like I said, it was my least favorite of the Deadpools.
I might like it a little bit more than the first one, but the second one is my favorite.
Second one's my favorite too.
Well, if that's it, then we can wrap this up. We'll catch you guys later.
See you next time.